Hello?
Hi, honey.
Did you pay the bills yet?
What do you think? I was at work, and now I'm in the...
Hey there. You okay? You okay?
Oh, I'm not sure.
Here, drink this. Drink this.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Kevin, Carmen.
Satan, pleased to finally meet you. I want to offer you a job. I set up my power players, and they do my work. Kevin, you're special. You don't even know. And I can't do this all by myself. It's a big job.
I've never hurt anybody my whole life.
No, but you have such potential.
I'm not like that. I wouldn't know how to be like that.
Are you sure you are where you think you are?
Hello everybody, welcome to our special update live stream. We're very, very excited to be with you here tonight. Going to be talking about some really big surprises, but before we do that, we want to shout out anybody who's here. Who's here with us right now? We got Greg and what is it? Isabel?
Sharon, Nancy.
I know I saw my wife Erin in there. She was giving us a hard time about my selection for Orlando's photo for the graphic that kicks this thing off. But anyway, tonight we are here to share some very special updates with you. Some news that we've been so excited to share with you. Some things that I think are definitely going to surprise you. Some things that I think surprised us. And look, for those of you that are joining us for the first time, and I think that's probably not what's happening tonight. I think most everybody here tonight with us have seen us before and have talked with us before. You know, this is kind of a live stream we put together for our investors, for our fans. That's who we're talking to tonight. But I'm Brock Heasley. I'm the writer and director of The Shift.
I'm Orlando J. Gomez, producer of The Shift.
And we're just gonna jump right into it. So hopefully everybody's here and they're ready to go. But the first thing we want to talk to you about tonight is something that we've shared on our social media. We've shared a few posts here and there about a trip that we recently did to Georgia, specifically to the Atlanta area, and that was, I mean, neither one of us had ever been to Georgia before.
No, I've been to Georgia a couple times. I've been to Atlanta for some other projects, but
didn't know that.
Yeah, I've been there for a couple projects, but no, I mean, never in the capacity that we were there for, to location scout, to prep for a feature film.
Yeah, we weren't vacationing in Georgia.
Yeah, right.
It was definitely a long
way. And usually my trips have been airport, straight to the hotel, and then like doing work, there or whatever. But so we had been hit up by a couple of people who work in the industry in the Atlanta area, and they were like, hey, have you ever considered coming out here, shoot out, I know you're in California, but what if you brought the film here? And for a long time, we kept kind of like just dismissing them and kind of like brushing it off.
Yeah, well, because we have people who pop up and they're like, hey, I'd love to help out the film in this way. And look, we're very grateful for that. And we take all of that very seriously. But, you a lot of them don't pan out. Well, let's put it that way.
And not just that, but I mean, we already had it in our mind. We're going to be filming here in Fresno. We know where most of these locations are. We have relationships. We have a lot of stuff in the works already. So we didn't really consider it. But we started getting hit up by multiple people who keep saying like, really, like, you have the means, like, go check it out, like, just look into it.
Right.
So we finally were like, okay, let's go make the trip. Let's go meet some people. And let's see what Georgia has to offer, and they have a lot to offer.
They do have a lot. I mean, you're talking about a second Hollywood, essentially.
I'm saying there's a reason why Atlanta is the way it is right now in the film world, and one of the big things being the Georgia tax incentive, film tax incentive, right? Which is some 30-35%.
Which is a massive amount of money.
Right. So it's based on your budget. So the amount of money you spend in Georgia, they will give you this tax credit of I can't remember 30 or 35%.
It's 30%. So, for example, if we were to make a $6 million film and spend $6 million in Georgia,
right,
we would be able to get $2 million of that back.
Correct.
Which is a chunk of change.
Correct. And what makes it really interesting is that they have the way their tax incentive is set up is that it's actually transferable. So what a lot of productions are doing is they're actually selling their tax credit to other businesses who need the tax write-off in exchange for cash up front or quick cash when you need. So going rates like 75, 80%.
Right.
So in that case, whatever 80% of $2 million is, they would give you that in cash.
Right.
And now you have that to work with for the film.
Right. Or to pay back your
investors. And then they'll get the tax credit when tax season comes around the following year, and they'll profit the difference.
Right.
So that was a really big thing for us, financially. They have a huge infrastructure and network. They have their own union contracts, which are better than the California union contracts.
Yeah. The Georgia crews. When the union tried to recruit them, they basically said, "No, we don't like your terms," and so the union, which it never does, had to bend to what the crews wanted, and so they negotiated better rates for them, better rates for producers and directors and studios that come to Georgia. So, Georgia, financially speaking, it's like a home run.
Yes, exactly. From a financial standpoint, it makes total sense. Although we are still doing our due diligence and crunching numbers, we're getting location costs, because that's the other thing is, here, locations are really cheap.
Very, very, very cheap. Yeah.
And so we got to make sure that actually makes sense on a financial front. But then just their infrastructure and the network and the people that we can get in contact with and all the industry, producers and things of that nature. There's a lot of it there that we won't entirely get here. I mean, we'll get some of it from LA, but we're not in the middle of it.
Well, I think also there's the challenge of executing a production from a distance.
Right.
We're a good, I don't know what is it. I'm not good at geography, but 2,000 miles away, some crazy number. And so and look, it's not like we'd be reinventing the wheel. Everybody in the film industry lives in one place and works in other places, depending on what they're doing. So, it's not like this is a totally unknown thing. It would be new for us, but it's a challenge that we definitely want to meet, and several times in our careers. The question is it a good idea to do it right now?
Right.
So, I mean, but we found a lot of good stuff while we were there. I was really impressed particularly with a town called Noonan.
Yes.
Noonan, Georgia.
Really cool looking.
Really, really cool looking. Like, one of the big reasons that I love Fresno is because Fresno has got such a variety of different locales, buildings and styles. And look, if you're not from Fresno, you're not necessarily going to think that that's true, because if you've ever been to Fresno and you're not from Fresno, chances are your only experience is driving down the 99 and blowing right by it. And if you're judging Fresno based on what you can see from the 99, then I understand why you may not be like, well, Fresno's great. But because you just can't see much from the 99. But Fresno actually does have a lot to offer. And one of my big concerns going to Georgia was, can we find locations as great as what we know exist for this film in particular?
Right.
Great as what we know exists in Fresno. Can the equivalent be found in Georgia? And when we first got to Georgia,
it was too nice.
It was way too nice.
Everything was super
beautiful and green and
too alive. It was too alive.
Yeah.
It doesn't work for a post.
And my immediate reaction was like, oh no, this is not going to work.
Yeah. Can we turn all this brown? We need this a little more dead.
Right, but then we found Noonan.
Yeah.
And Noonan has a lot of the types of locations that we're looking for. So immediately I was like, okay, our exteriors are here. They are here.
Right.
So the question is where are our interiors? And we found some good places.
Mm-hmm. Like the diner in particular. The diner was one of them.
Yeah. Found a great diner. It's not really like the one we show in the short, but the differences are assets instead of liabilities, which I think is what we're looking for.
Had a lot of
character.
Had a lot of character.
A lot of character. And the couple that owned the diner, such nice people, and so excited about us potentially coming.
Yeah. So there were some good places. Where were some of those that we were?
The production offices.
Oh yes, the production
found.
offices that also doubled as a couple of locations that we can
we can use it as an asylum.
With the cafeteria and then some of the hallways. And
the production offices we found are actually they conduct missions out of
Yeah.
this
Like,
this
yeah, global
like, this
outreach
giant
missions.
global outreach, this giant building with hundreds of offices.
Massive building.
It was a massive building, and really they just conduct global missions. And they were more than happy to have us come in and set up shop and operate and basically just base our entire production out of that building and use it for shooting.
Right.
So a really, really great asset, really great location for us.
Yeah.
If we used it, if we went there.
Yeah.
Um,
and so that's where we are right now. So we're it's very much on the table, and right now we're just doing our due diligence and trying to figure out. We're working with the city here in Fresno again, and just like, here's the list of everything we need, and we're just trying to compare apples to apples and making sure we make the best decision, financially, creatively, and just all around making sure we do everything right. So yeah.
So that's all we really have to report on Georgia. We've been there. It's great. We don't know if it's great to the point of we're going to shoot in Georgia. We're still weighing those possibilities, and thankfully we have some great people that we're talking to there and that are kind of our liaisons and hooking us up with the right people. We definitely know that everything we need as far as crew and a lot of cast are there. The question is it right? And that's a matter of prayer, and that's a matter of considering practicalities and things like that. Now look, Georgia is the least exciting thing we're going to share with you tonight.
And Georgia's pretty exciting.
Georgia's pretty exciting, but that report is the least exciting thing that we're sharing with you tonight.
Yeah.
We're just going to keep upping the ante as we go here. So do you know what an animatic is?
I didn't.
Well, you didn't until recently. Yeah, not even
I thought I
Orlando
did.
Yeah.
when we finally got into it, like, oh, that's a completely different thing.
Completely different thing.
Yeah.
So an animatic, anybody who works in the animation field or anybody who works on a Marvel movie, for example, is going to know what an animatic is. An animatic basically is like an animated storyboard, a lightly animated storyboard. It's not Pixar level. It's not, it's Saturday morning cartoons. It's nothing like that. But imagine, if you will, storyboards, essentially comic book panels with a little bit of movement to them that you can then take and edit and basically get a feel, not just through pictures, but through motion and even tossing in some music and some voice acting. And if you put an animatic together, you can kind of figure out what your shots are going to be for a movie, how the movie might feel, how it's going to pace out.
It's part of the pre-visualization.
Yeah, it's part of pre-visualization. And it's very, very common for a Marvel movie. And the reason for that is because they do these really effects-heavy sequences and action-heavy sequences, and those need to be mapped out like to the nth degree before they shoot them. And so they create what's called animatics. Animation uses them even more, and animation animatics are almost kind of like a final product. They're really close. They're just really sketchy looking because animation has to be really planned out, like even more than live action. You're talking about timing things out to the fraction of a second. So an animatic, especially in live action, is really useful for mapping out complicated sequences and getting a good idea before you shoot the film of not only what is the film going to look and feel like, but also as a filmmaker, you can map out better what you're going to do by having an animatic. So I am pleased to announce that we are creating an animatic for the shift right now.
Yep.
That is happening.
Yep.
We are creating an animatic, not of the whole movie. We're taking an 11.5-page sequence from the top of the third act, for those of you that have read the script, and if you know how act breaks work. But if I say that we're doing the most complicated sequence in the film as an animatic, you should probably have a pretty good idea of what that sequence is. And I'm avoiding spoilers for the sake of those that haven't read the script and don't want to read the script. It's not available right now anymore, but a number of you did get a chance to read it during our last crowdfund. So that is what is happening right now. We are creating an animatic of 11 pages from the script.
From the feature script.
From the feature film script. Yeah, this is not a sequence, by the way, that is part of the short film. This is in the chronology of the film. It's way after that. And look, we have some top talent working on this thing. Oh wait, but before I say that, you might be thinking to yourself, why would I care about this? Here's why you should care about this. We're not going to keep this animatic a secret. As soon as it's done, we're going to share it with you. We're going to show you what this thing is, and you're going to see for the first time kind of what this feature film is going to be like. Not only that, but the most exciting part of the feature film.
Correct.
Now, before I tell you the talent involved, because it's pretty cool, why do this? Number one, because it's going to help us as filmmakers to map things out.
We're going to need to do this anyways.
To a large extent.
Yeah.
Like this kind of planning, honestly, I was kind of going back and forth on whether or not we needed to do it. But the more I thought about it and the more we kind of got into the process and I started talking to the talent that we brought on board to help us do this thing, I've realized, wow, this is a huge, huge asset for us. It's going to just really help us communicate the vision to our partners, when we're doing the live action version. It's going to just make everything that much easier. And for this sequence of pages, it needs to be as easy as possible because it's really difficult stuff. That's one reason. The other reason is that I think that this is the kind of thing that investors are going to look at, and it's going to get them really, really excited.
Yeah, because they'll get to really see the tonality and kind of the direction we're going with it, and get a sense of how fun it can be. Right. It's the short film is such a small piece of the larger narrative, and it's all the drama, and it's just kind of this point in time we're going to get a little bit more action out of this.
Yeah, absolutely. I do think that there is an impression of the film that is left with the short film, and look, that's a really good impression. Right. All of you, that's what drew you to this project in the first place. But it doesn't really give you a good sense of what the feature film is going to be like. This animatic is going to show people, oh, this is what the film is going to be like. Oh my gosh, this is totally different and bigger than what I saw in the short film. That's the reaction we're hoping to get from people. So that's why we're doing it. Okay, the talent that is working on this thing. Number one, it starts with an artist, and we have brought on board Kevin Mellon, who is a storyboard artist for a little animated show. I say little facetiously, called Archer. Archer is if you know Archer, it's a big deal, and he's also done storyboards and worked in animatics for shows like The Vampire Diaries and Black Lightning, and he's currently working on a show for maybe one of the biggest studios that's top secret and that I can't share with you. But anyways, Kevin's very, very good.
Yes.
And he brings with him his animation contacts who are going to help us, animate this thing. So that's who's doing the art for us. And right now, Kevin is slated to draw over 300 drawings for us to get this thing done. I mean, it's a big lift. It's a haul. But he's very excited about it. And in fact, Kevin is so in demand and is working at such a high level. He has not taken a freelance job like this in 3 years.
Yeah, and we didn't know that.
We didn't know that
when he agreed to it.
No, we had no idea. And then he told us, and so why is he doing that? Because he thinks this is really cool, and he thinks it's worth his time. And so we're very, very pleased and honored to have Kevin as part of our team on this animatic. But look, if I'm going to make an animatic, if I'm going to make something that looks and feels like the final film, then I've got to bring as many people working on the final film as possible. And so we're also going to be bringing in Brandon Jones and Joel Erickson, who are going to be our sound designers on the feature film. Brandon Jones was the sound designer also on the short film. These are the guys that worked on, oh my gosh, Brandon just worked on Jungle Cruise, Brandon worked on A Quiet Place, Joel worked on Argo and a Transformers movie. Like, these guys are working on the biggest films. Right. They're going to come in and they're going to do the sound design for this animatic.
Seems a little overkill, which is really exciting.
Yeah, well,
I wasn't expecting that. Like, we just get some sounds off of like a stock site. And
usually that's what you would do.
Pull it together, and they're like, no, we'll do this.
Yeah.
We'll do this right.
Yeah, no, they're excited to come in and actually play on this thing, and and maybe some of that work can be used for the feature film. Maybe it won't, but we're putting everything we've got into this thing. Okay. Now, for an animatic, we also need voice actors. And I couldn't think of anybody better to voice Kevin and Satan than the original Kevin and Satan, Greg and Travis.
That's right.
So Greg Tharp and Travis Clough, our Kevin and Satan from the short film, are coming back. Reprising their roles. They're going to be coming back and performing brand new lines that they've never performed before. and coming back for this animatic. And yes, we will be capturing some behind the scenes footage so that you can see them doing this. In fact, we have them scheduled. They're going to be in this very room a week from today?
Today or tomorrow.
Today or tomorrow. I don't know. Anyways, they're going to be here in a week, and we're going to record that. And yeah, we'll definitely give you a peek at them doing that again. I'm excited.
Yeah,
they haven't performed these roles in 5 or 6 years, which, if you have read the script, 5 years is an important thing.
It's an important number.
Kevin and Satan reuniting after 5 years is an interesting, ironic twist and very appropriate. But that's not all. We also, it's not just about voices. It's not just about sound effects. You've also got to put some music into your animatic. And like Orlando said, usually with these types of things, you just find some stock,
royalty-free.
You're just trying to give an impression. You're not trying to go all the way with it and make it, like perfectly just like the movie. You just got to get the idea across. Well, we like doing more. So we have brought in Matthew S. Nelson and Dan Hasseltine, who will be our composers on the feature film, who are also currently the composers for The Chosen. They're going to come in and they're going to do their first cues for the shift in this animatic. And it's also going to be their first music together that is not The Chosen. Their first score that is not Chosen related. They're going to be creating music for this, what is probably going to be about a 10-minute sequence when it's all said and done.
So it's going to be a pretty killer animatic.
Yeah, I know. This animatic is going to be impressive.
Yeah, it's a little excessive, but it's great. But
everybody's excited to do it.
That's what I mean. Like that's like, you wouldn't normally do this because of everybody's time and everybody's time. Like, you don't want to take advantage of that, but that's the level of excitement that's going on with the project. Is all these people are like, no.
Right.
Let us do this. We want to do this. And so that's humbling for us. That's exciting to us, and just we know it's going to make that much better for our product. And I, admittedly, like at the beginning, I was like, an animatic, like, Brock, like, what is this? Come on.
Yeah.
This is kind of a waste of time, and we're gonna have a little cartoon. Like, what's going on? And then as we started getting more into it,
then you started understanding. Like, at first I was like, why am I having such a hard time selling you on this?
Yeah, like every time we talk about it, I'm like, Brock, this again? Come on.
Yeah.
And then, I got to see, kind of what Kevin can do. Obviously I know what the other guys can
we
do.
should show them what Kevin can do.
Speaking of which, we should.
Would you guys like to see some of the first art for this animatic? You should, because it's awesome. So let's take a look. This is some of the first art that Kevin has created for. I'm going to show you just 3 pictures is all. This is the first one. I am to avoid spoilers. I am not going to tell you what you're looking at. Those that have read the script, you should have a good idea. But what I love about Kevin's style is that it has such an energy to it. Look, these are quick drawings. They're not. I mean, he's doing them very, very quickly. But even doing it quickly, there's so much energy and excitement and detail and structure that you don't often find with somebody who's drawing this fast. So there's one. Let me show you another one here. This is a really great moment that I can't talk about because it's totally spoilery. But you might recognize or not the people here in this frame. I love the way Kevin draws faces.
Yeah.
And I'm a face guy. Look, I'm an artist in another life, and faces in particular were my favorite thing to draw. And I love the way Kevin draws faces, especially the eyes.
In the emotion.
The emotion is all there.
And like we had talked about before too, how there's originality to all of them. Even though this is like a rough sketch, he doesn't just do a generic placeholder face for everybody. Like, they're real characters.
Yep.
And
expressing something.
Yeah, and expressive and emotive.
And the last one we're going to show you right now is this one right here, which is just super cool.
I love it. Yeah.
This is such a great angle, such a great like comic booky, I don't know. I'm just so like, I saw this and it just leapt off the page for me, and it's so also, I think, exactly for this particular scene in this moment, I think what we always imagine.
Right.
I think that's what's so great about Kevin's work is that he so immediately captures exactly what we're after.
Yeah, he's translating it to to the visual format, getting it out of one brain and into a medium that people can connect with.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's again, this is what really kind of where it clicked in my brain. Where it's
Yeah.
like, okay, I get it now. This is actually going to be pretty cool.
Right. Right. So yeah, so we're just super excited, and I can't wait to get more art, and that's probably all we're going to show you for now. We're going to save everything else
until it's done.
Yeah, until
To
it's
get the rest
done.
of it.
When it's done, then we will share the finished product with you, and we're very excited to do that. But we're gonna hold off on sharing much more with you until then, as far as the art goes. One other thing I forgot to mention, when I was talking to Matt and Dan about this animatic and doing the music, I was sure to qualify, because I was, these guys are artists. These guys are dedicated to their craft, and we just need something to get this done.
Just to
get this done. And so I told them, I said, look, guys, the music you create for this thing, it's nothing you have to be married to. It's just got to be. It's got to be good, and it's got to do the job, but it's nothing you have to be married to. And Dan immediately said, but what if we were? What if we were married to it? So these guys, and I think they actually kind of represent everybody who's working on this thing. They're looking to do the kind of work on here that can be carried all the way to the feature film. Now that's not to say that it will, but that's the level that we're all aspiring to.
Just doing it right.
Doing it
the
right.
best we can.
Just doing it
every step of the way.
Exactly. So, so that's what's going on with the development of the film right now. Where is, those of you that invested, where's your money going? Some of it is going into this animatic, and it is a very, very worthy thing to do. Okay, the next thing to talk to you about. Now, here's the thing. I totally messed up. If you've been paying attention to the bottom of your screen, then you already know the next thing that I'm going to announce.
I didn't even notice that.
Totally.
Good job.
I meant to hide that and then reveal it now. So, yay for me and lack of presentation. In future live streams, we're actually going to have more assistants, and I won't be the guy who's creating everything and having to man it all. But for tonight, it's still just me. So once again, I messed up, not with the mute button, but with the graphics. But
because I told you to unmute yourself.
Because you told me to unmute myself. That's true. I would have messed it up otherwise. It's true. So okay, let's cut to the chase here. As of right now, this is our other big announcement tonight. As of right now, we are taking reservations for a possible third round of crowdfunding at angel.com/theshift. Yes, a third round. Why are we doing this? Well, number one, I've gotten a lot of requests to do this. I mean, I've gotten messages, I think, pretty much every week from people who are just asking, how can I invest? Can I still invest? And usually I have to just tell them no. Yeah. Now I can tell them, actually, we're taking reservations. Now, why are we doing this? First of all, we've done 2 rounds of crowdfunding so far. In our first round, we were able to raise $152,000, which is nothing to sneeze at, but doesn't get you all the way to your budget for a movie.
Right.
In our second round, we raised another $614,000 or something like that, which brought us to a total of $729,000 total raise, which is an incredible amount of money. The interesting thing about that second round that it was in the last 48 hours that we raised $200,000 in 48 hours.
Right.
$200,000 is more than we raised in 6 weeks for our first round.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So something is happening. Something started happening, particularly in that second round, where we started reaching our audience, I think, in a bigger way.
Yeah, and and one of the things that I always felt like was happening was the first time we went through the crowdfunding, like, we didn't know what the heck we were doing. Like, we were totally winging it, and and doing the best we could. And the second time around, we had a little bit more support. We had a little more experience. And we were fine tuning it, and we felt like we finally kind of got it right at the very end, like within the last week, if that, like in the last 4 or 5 days. Right. And then it was over, and we couldn't keep running with it. And so the conversation has been, well, now that we kind of have the game plan down, we understand how this works now. We're better suited at it. Is it worth going back?
Is it worth going back? And I want to clarify something, because I've been a little imprecise with my language about this so far. We have not committed to doing a third round of crowdfunding.
Right. No, it's in consideration.
Right. What we are doing with this reservations is that we are exploring the possibility. We are gauging interest.
Right.
So in no way are we saying, hey, we are definitely doing this. What we are saying is that we are exploring the possibility. And so if that is something that you were interested in seeing happen, if you want to invest in this film, if you want to invest more in this film, and I'm going to talk about that more in a little bit, then the way to let us know is to go to the angel.com/theshift and just say, hey, I'm interested. I'm interested. And I'll talk more about that in a minute.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's clear that to us it seems that there is interest, and so we want to explore that and provide a vehicle for that.
But along those lines, in trying to gauge interest, you probably start seeing ads popping up,
you probably are going to start
start
seeing ads,
dropping stuff out there just to kind of see what the response is like. And again, in the vein of what we've been talking about already, doing things well, doing things right, kind of going big with everything.
Right.
We're bringing in some big guns to help us.
We
pull
are.
that off too.
We are. That we are looking. If we do a third round of crowdfunding, it's going to look very different from what we've done previously. We have the opportunity with some more lead up time, and with these partners that I'm going to tell you about in a second, we have an opportunity to really think more strategically about how do we reach our audience that's out there who doesn't know about us. Because look, The Shift, what in the world is The Shift? A year ago, everybody listening to this and watching this had no idea what it was.
Right.
And that's a very different thing from a movie based on a book.
Right.
Whether that's the Bible or something else that's a New York Times bestseller or a TV show or whatever. The Shift is a completely original story, and that makes it gives it a little bit of a barrier to entry for some people. It's like, well, I don't understand this. Plus, we mix sci-fi with faith, which I know from many people is a very bad idea. They're all wrong, but they tell me that it's a bad idea. They're wrong. Because I think it's also the biggest strength, and I know those of you that have invested know that it's the biggest strength. This film has the potential to do something no other faith film has done before, precisely because we're mixing in things that usually never mix with it, and doing it hopefully, I think, in an intelligent way. But not only are we going to be teaming back up with Angel Studios if we go a third round, but right now we have actually teamed up with the Harmon brothers, which is a marketing agency. We've teamed up with them right now to explore these possibilities, to help us figure out what would a third round look like. How can we fine-tune our messaging and our advertising so that we can reach people that want to know about us but don't yet.
Well, and what kind of content we can create to better communicate that information.
Exactly. And look, you may be thinking, oh, a marketing agency, that's interesting. Harmon Brothers, who's that? Marketing agencies aren't really like, that's not a big deal. Okay, if you say that, it's probably because you don't know who the Harmon Brothers are. Because if you know who the Harmon Brothers are, then you immediately, I know anybody who's listening right now or watching right now who knows who the Harmon Brothers are, you're immediately thinking, holy crud, fireworks are going off all around you. As an investor, it should be, because you realize that we are teaming up with exactly the right people to execute this well.
And I think to better help illustrate this, I mean, we're a marketing company. I mean,
right, yes. Stellar Lens, where we are right now, your company is a marketing company.
And we've decided that it is worth going the route of bringing these guys in because they're just
really, really good at what they do.
Really good.
Yeah.
And there's always room to learn and always room to grow, and they've been really excellent at what they do. And so, and sometimes too, you get too close to a project, and it's good to have outside perspective.
Absolutely.
And so, you know, we're bringing in some really, really strong help to shape all that.
Yeah. So a little bit of background on the Harmon Brothers. They are a Utah-based ad agency behind, and I'm reading this obviously, behind the most viral ads in internet history. They use storytelling, humor, and other key ingredients to create social videos that sell products or a movie. Their incredible ads and marketing know-how have collectively driven more than 1 billion views, over $300 million in sales, and revolutionized the way products are marketed. They are the minds behind internet advertising blockbusters, including Squatty Potty, Purple, Chat Books, Fiber Fix, and Poopery. Basically, if you've ever been on Facebook and found yourself watching a 3-minute ad for a product that you didn't even know existed 2 seconds earlier, and you couldn't figure out why you were so compelled to watch that ad,
and why you're sharing it, and
why you're
posting it,
right,
and why you're watching it over and over again,
and why you're laughing constantly, Harmon Brothers
ad.
did that ad.
Yep.
That's basically the way that works. In fact, I'm going to show you a little bit of their work. Here's a sample of some of the work that they do.
Let's do it.
Mom?
All right. So that's a little look at what the Harmon Brothers can do. So we are looking, if we go a third round, you can probably expect to see a brand new, spanking new pitch video, a new video with new messaging to get the word out about the shift. And we'll be doing that in concert with Harmon Brothers. So, I think if we go a third round, I think we're definitely setting ourselves up for success.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, between some of the new content we're going to be making, the new partners we're bringing in, having kind of figured out the strategy and the game plan and how to actually execute these things from the past couple of rounds, we're in a really good position.
Yeah. So things are looking up for us. Look, the whole goal here is to get the budget we need in order to make this film. We have talked in the past about seeking private investment, and that's still something that's on the table, and still some irons in that fire, still some discussions going on. But with the support that we have seen so far for this film, and the fact that it's growing support, and with some of these new things in play, I think the animatic that we talked about would be very helpful during a third round of crowdfunding as well. I think it's the kind of thing where we can say, okay, there is value in bringing it to the people, as it were. And look, you're a heck of a lot more fun than don't tell them this, but you're a lot more fun than a stuffed suit, who trades on Wall Street. I don't know who the private investors are or what they wear, but I'm just, what I'm saying. Like, it's way more fun to talk with you and to partner with you than it is with them. And so we'll take as many of you as we can get.
It's not as hard to sell.
It's not as hard to sell either, but anyway, we feel like there's something really, really interesting that can happen by putting all of these elements together that we've never had before. We're looking at potentially a very different campaign. Quick word about that. If we were to go again, I would say it is very likely that it would happen after September 29th.
Yes.
Very, very likely that it would happen after. Now, why is that important? Because if we were to do this after September 29th, that would mean that anybody who invested in our anybody who invested in our first round of crowdfunding and who maxed out the amount that they were able to invest, if we were to do a third round after September 29th, that will mean an entire year has elapsed since you invested, which means that you could now invest again to any amount you want up to the maximum you're allowed in 1 year. So anybody who came in on that first round, you would be able to come again. which is really exciting. I have heard from many people from that first round who did max out, who wanted to invest again, and there just hasn't been a way to do that.
Right.
So if we go a third time, I hope that those people are listening right now and that they'll come back in. And some of them I know, and I'll probably reach out to them and let them know that that's a possibility.
Right.
The other thing that would happen if we open up a third round is that there are some of you whose investments, for one reason or another, technical difficulties, all kinds of different reasons. Maybe you misspelled your name wrong. Your investment, unfortunately, was canceled and didn't go through. This would allow you the opportunity to go ahead and come back in and try again. And if this happens, and we do recommend that you spell your name correctly and get all that information in there correctly, because that is really the thing that trips it up, and why there are some people inevitably who just fall out at the end because of those issues, and we're unable to resolve them for one reason or another. But those of you that have had those issues, there would be another opportunity for you if we were to open up this third round. I just need to read something real quick before we wrap this up. And before I say that, because I don't want to lose anybody, we have one more thing to tell you.
Yes.
We have one more thing. In the grand tradition of an Apple event, we have one more thing.
One more thing.
But before I do that, I want to say this real quick. For this reservation round, for expressing interest, just to be very, very clear, no money or other consideration is being solicited, and if sent, will not be accepted. In other words, we're not asking for money right now. We're just asking you to say, hey, I want to invest. That's it. There is no money that's being exchanged with these reservations whatsoever. No offer to buy the securities can be accepted, and no part of the purchase price can be received until the offering statement is filed, and only through an intermediary's platform. And finally, a prospective purchaser's indication of interest is non-binding. So,
which means they can change your mind.
Which means you can change your mind. You are not promising to invest. You're simply letting us know that you are interested in doing so. Mm-hmm. No commitments are being made at this time, nor can they be made. We don't want your money right now at all. Don't send it to us. We won't take it. So, but if you're interested, please go to the site and let us know. Mm-hmm. Let us know. Okay, the one more thing, and then.
But wait, there's more.
But wait, there's more. And then after that, we'll take some questions. If you have any questions, please submit them, and we will keep track of them. And have you seen any come in?
It's going really fast.
It's going really. Hey, that's good.
Yeah,
we like that.
I'm trying to also. Yeah, I guess I can't multitask this.
Yes.
I thought I could.
All right. So if you have submitted a question, once we're done sharing the one more thing with you, resubmit your questions, and we'll be watching carefully, and then we'll address any questions we can before we're all done tonight. But the one more thing, the last thing I want to tell you about, and I have to be kind of cagey with this. I can't reveal everything to you, but I'm going to tell you as much as I can. Recently, and I'm talking within the last week and a half, we were contacted by a pretty big deal distribution company. Yes. This distribution company has worked in the faith arena extensively, has distributed films you've heard of, I promise you, and they have partnerships with big studios and the distribution channels we need. Honestly, this particular company is one that I have long had in my mind of somebody that we would want to reach out to once the film is completed, because I knew they have what we need.
Right. Yeah, and we just assumed that would be, sales conversation, trying to, get them to see the value, and not only did they reach out, but the person who reached out is like a career Hollywood sales distribution person who now works exclusively in this arena. So
in the faith arena.
Correct, yeah. And very much loves the project and is
totally got it.
And is championing it with this distribution company, this very big distribution company.
And apparently everybody at the company is aware of the shift and loves the short film.
Mm-hmm. And so they're already kind of starting pre-talks. Like normally you don't get into these conversations until you're close to being done. Like I have something to show, but they're like, no, we want to talk now. Like we want to make sure you know who we are.
Right.
It's like, we know who you are.
Yeah, we know who you are.
Of course we know who you are, but this is really cool and exciting.
Yeah. So it was a very, very unexpected conversation. And the other thing that came out of that conversation that blew my mind is that this company has actually fielded inquiries from other companies, including a streaming service that you definitely have heard of, and that is a very big deal. And this is the last, by the way, this is the last streaming service, like big streaming service that I thought would ever inquire or even know about the shift.
But at the same time, like after we got through it all, like it makes sense. Like kind of knowing their model and kind of like it's hard being all cryptic here, but it
really is. We're not trying to tease. We're really just trying to look. We've always been transparent. Right. We're trying to reveal to you as much as we possibly can without betraying confidences and legalities and things like that.
Because
that's what this is
about. It's all still very early.
It's only been one conversation so far, but it blew our mind that these people even know who we are, and B, that these other people know who we are and have asked them about us.
And there's like back channel conversations about the shift in these big institutions that we all know, and there's like interest. It's crazy.
Right. And so it's a huge vote of confidence for what we're doing. I think the thing that inspired me the most about that conversation is what inspired them to reach out the most, and what inspired these other companies to inquire about us, which is that they do see the crossover potential.
Yes.
That everything that we know is different and potentially kind of weird for people is actually they see it, they get it, they value it. They're like, yes, this film is something that can go to these other places in a legitimate way because it is solid as a sci-fi film, as solid as it is a faith film, and that's such a tightrope to walk, but they see that we've walked it well.
Yeah, and I mean, to the point where in the conversation he was saying, like, I've been doing this for over 20 years. I've literally, distributed thousands of films, and very rarely do I take this level of personal interest.
Right.
He says, and this is one of those projects that I see what it is, I see what you're doing, and I'm excited. And I want. I mean, he basically at the end too, he's like, look, at the end of the day, like, I know you guys probably have your own plans, and you're in other conversations that want to step on everybody's toes. Even if you don't go with us, I'd love to help how I can.
Right.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing. And it's the kind of blessing that we did not expect at this point. And I call it a blessing specifically because I believe that it is. At every turn, this film has subverted every expectation anybody's ever had for it. It really has. Yeah. It's and it blows my mind that it continues to happen. Look, it's not to say that it's been smooth sailing. It's been a roller coaster. We've had our ups and we've had our downs with this thing. But every time we go down, we end up ascending higher afterwards than we ever have been. And we get closer and closer to the goal.
Well, and it's always been the unknown factor, right? Like we do our due diligence and we plan and we do things as best as we can and we try to do things right. But we always leave room for the unknown. We leave opportunity for God to show up, for God to intervene, and to provide the things that we would never dream of. And this is just another one of those moments. And that's been the entire journey.
And I know that so many of you are, this film and what we're doing is a part of your prayer routine. That it's something that you're praying about. And I tell you, definitely part of my prayer routine. There's not, I'm sure God is kind of like, can you pray about something else, please? There are other things in your life. But I just, really? Sometimes it doesn't feel like it. But I just want to say thank you before we move on to any questions you might have. I just want to say thank you. Thank you for your prayers. Thank you for the support that we feel. We feel it and we see it. And we can't share everything and every detail with you, but we definitely share what we can. And you guys are a part of this thing. You are. And I would love nothing more than to do a third round and invite thousands more to join us. I think there are thousands more people out there who want to join us. They just don't know it yet. And when I see things like what have been happening in the last few weeks, when I see those things happening, and then I know that the inspiration that I personally had years ago, that this is a film that needs to be made, it's just further confirmation that inspiration was true and right, and that our only job is to just be present and to follow the guidance that we receive and do things in the correct, ethical, moral, spiritually right and correct way. So that's what we're doing to the best of our ability. We're not perfect, but we're doing the best we can. And so far, I think God is rewarding our effort. and I believe he'll continue to do so. Okay, so that's all. Legitimately, that's all we have for tonight. We don't have anything else. There's no one more thing. I think we've done pretty well, though. We've hit you with some pretty big stuff tonight.
Yeah.
I can't wait to go back and read your comments and see what you think about all of this. If you're not a member of our fan club, well, I say our fan club, it's really your fan club. It's started and created by fans, the Shift Fan Club. I recommend that you head over there, do a search on Facebook, join it. That's where a lot of conversation happens in between these live streams, and I'll drop nuggets here and there. But does anybody have any questions? If you have any questions for us, we're happy to answer them.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we're
Pay a
also
little more
happy to go to dinner. So, do we have anything coming in? Doesn't look like it so far. I'm going to give it a couple of more minutes before we totally shut it down. I think we're pretty good at answering questions ahead of it.
Terry's asking if we invested in the second round but didn't max out, can we invest in the third? If there is a third.
Yeah, great question, Terry. So yes, if you invested in the second round and you didn't max out, then yes. If we do a third round of crowdfunding, you can invest again until you hit that max. So if that's something you want to do, awesome. Go to angel.com/theshift and pledge your reservation and let us know so that we can see what kind of interest there is out there. Any other questions?
Greg asked, and I think he's referring to Georgia, if we found a great theater and or motel room, or will those be on a soundstage?
So we're not planning on doing any soundstage work. Initially, my thought was to do the motel room on a soundstage. But the more I started looking at what the construction costs and just the logistics of doing that would be, I realized probably not the best use of our money. So we're looking at doing location work for everything. In Georgia, we did not find a motel that would be appropriate. That doesn't mean it's not there. We were only there for a few days. Wasn't hardly enough time to explore as much as we needed to. I have no doubt there's probably something there that would work for us. In Fresno, there are a number of motels that I have my eye on that would work very well. And what was the other? He asked about the motel, and what else did he ask about?
In the theater.
Oh, in the theater. We did find a really amazing theater in Atlanta proper called the Fox Theater, which was built in like the 1920s, has just the right look. But I also think it's like a landmark in that city, and they do rent it out to films. But my concern there would be, well, how much would that cost? Because they seem like a big operation, and I don't know how much they would be.
Yeah.
But that would be a possibility. I still haven't seen anything that quite matches the theater that we have in mind.
It was pretty awesome.
For Fresno.
Yeah, absolutely.
In Fresno, if you're familiar with Fresno, the Warner's Theater is the one that we're looking at for our big climax. Takes place in like an old movie theater, and that's the one we're looking at for that.
Got a number of questions, people asking about casting, if we picked anybody yet.
Okay, casting, great question. No, we have not started the casting. So one of the things that we really were striving for in the second round is to get to a certain level of investment so that we could confidently approach actors. We didn't quite hit that level of investment. I do believe that if we went to a third round that we would more than hit that level. And once we do, then we can, I think it was 1.5 million. If we can get to at least 1.5 million in investment, then we can confidently start making offers and going out to actors. So we haven't quite gotten to that point yet. And yeah, there's technically, we could approach some actors right now, even with what we do have, but you only get one shot at that. Mm-hmm. And so we want our position to be as strong as possible. And so we're taking a beat on that. I think, though, with everything going on, and if we did do a third round, I think it's possible that we would start approaching actors before Christmas this year.
Yeah, that'd be ideal. Yeah,
that would be ideal. So that's kind of where things are at right now with that. So nobody's been cast. I will tell you I have talked to one actor, or two actors. I've talked to two actors, but no commitments have been made, and no offers extended.
Carol asks if you have any estimation on when the animatic will be done.
Yeah, the animatic should be done, I think, probably mid-October, I think is kind of what we're aiming at and what everybody's has in mind for completing their work. So how's that for a solid answer? Mid-October is what we're planning right now. Whether that happens, we'll see. Never done an animatic before. Thankfully, I'm working with people who have, but yeah, I would expect that in around that time.
A couple other questions on casting. If we plan to do predominantly unknown actors or name actors?
So for our leading roles, we are looking at name
I got a
actors.
chart in sense about that.
Oh, okay. Yes, please do. We are looking for name actors for our leading roles. I'm talking about Kevin. I'm talking about Satan, possibly Molly as well. Maybe we can get some other names for some other supporting parts. But certainly, if you've read the script, you know there's a lot of bit parts, a lot of day players that we're going to need, and those will be largely unknown. The only two roles that I'm really insisting on names for would be Kevin and Satan.
Right.
I think that in order for this film to be a success to the degree that we want it to be, so that you that have invested can get returns and we can have success, stars still help. That isn't to say we're going to get Tom Cruise. No. Let me correct myself. We're not going to get Tom Cruise. That's not going to happen.
No.
But there are other names out there that could be a significant help to us. People who are very talented and people that we have in mind that we know, and we're not going to share that with you. But other than that, other than those two roles, we're very open to unknown actors for sure.
A couple of questions have come up, which we kind of have answers to, but I think that's going to could be a little more out of our.
We'll do the best we can to answer.
Is how's a third round? If we were to do a third round of investment, how does that affect people who have already invested? How does it affect the return for the people?
If we were to do a third round, I do not believe it would have any effect. The terms for the third round would be the same as they were in the second round.
Yeah, and I do believe at the end of the day, it's based off of your percentage of what's been invested. Anyways.
Yes, yeah. The way the return works on our two previous rounds, and you can anticipate it being the same for the third, is that you invest your money, and then the return is 120% of what you've invested once the film's making a profit, if it makes a profit, before the creators, meaning us and anybody else on the creative side of things, get any money at all. And then once you've got your 120%, you receive additional returns if the movie has additional returns based on the percentage of ownership you have of the film. That's basically the way that works. Those terms will be the same as they have been if we do a third round. Anybody else?
Lots of casting questions.
Lots of casting questions.
I wanna know,
Any we can answer?
Yeah, like, do you plan on giving any cameos to chosen actors?
Here's the thing. I love The Chosen. I love the chosen actors. I think Dallas and his casting director Beverly Holloway, I think they hit a home run with pretty much every single part. And I have actually spent some time on the Chosen set, and so I know them all to be extremely lovely people. Nothing would please me more than to bring some Chosen actors into the shift. And in fact, I think the biggest problem is that I want to bring too many Chosen actors into the shift, and we can't make this a Chosen reunion special where everybody's cosplaying in a different film. So the question really is how many can I get away with without people saying, "Ooh, that's too many," and making it look like it's actually the Chosen in like modern times or something. So I don't know. We'll figure that out as we go. I would love to hear from some Chosen actors, and I'd love to have the opportunity to cast them in this film. Who and what, I don't know. We'll figure that out later.
And then we've had a number of people asking if we're needing extras, is there going to be any opportunity for some of them to potentially come out to be extras?
Yeah, I would say if you're willing to make your way towards us, I think that we can definitely provide opportunities for that. There are some big crowd scenes that we're going to have to stage. Not like feeding the 5,000 like The Chosen is about to do, but there are some bigger crowd scenes, and certainly we would love for them to do that. There are also some perks available to guarantee yourself the opportunity to be an extra in the film. If you invest at a certain level, then you're guaranteed that opportunity. But I would hope to provide that opportunity. I don't know how that would work. I don't know if that could be just anybody who wants to.
Right.
But we will have a need for extras, and if somebody is willing to foot the bill and do their own, travel and room and board and everything,
Right.
then perhaps there'd be a way for that to happen.
And then the one caveat would be that is all pending that we can actually do that based on the union rules.
Correct.
That's
Correct.
the one unknown that we're still kind of trying to get clarification on.
I think what we figured out is that a certain number have to be union. A percentage of extras have to be union, but then outside, once you've fulfilled that quota, you can add as many other people from wherever as you want. But
So
those are things we're figuring out.
So it may be a very slim pool or a number of people. So it's not like anybody who shows up can.
Right.
But the short answer is yes, we're trying to provide opportunities.
Yeah. Short answer is I would love to see that happen, but the only way to guarantee a spot is to invest at a level, if that opportunity becomes available again, to invest at the level that allows that to happen.
Jennifer has brought up the question about merchandise again.
Oh boy, yeah. So merchandise, we've had some talks about that. We've had several talks. We haven't pulled the trigger on it. I'm upset that this hat is blank. I think it should say the shift on it, and it upsets me that it doesn't. So there's your answer, Jennifer. For now.
Melanie keeps asking too about the projected release date. If we know.
Boy, if I knew that, I would be a wizard.
Yeah, that's a hard question because again, it's all in order, right? We got to get the funds first. We got to be able to secure the actors, and then we got to get in production and post. I mean, yeah, that's hard to say.
Yeah. So typically what happens is a film is released about 12 months to 18 months after the beginning of production.
Right.
Production begins when we roll camera. We can't schedule roll camera until we have the money, and we can't schedule it until we have our actors in place. So there's just a lot of factors that determine that start date. Once that start date hits, then we can start talking about release date. But we're just not quite there yet. And my hopes right now is that we can get what we need by the end of this year, which puts us immediately into, when I say get what we need, I mean money. We get that by the end of this year, which immediately kicks us into pre-production, and then we can shoot, early spring, late winter, start shooting around that time next year.
Mm-hmm.
So if that were to happen, do the math from there. 12 months to 18 months after that, the film gets a release. Mm-hmm. Any other questions? Are they bored of us yet?
It's slowing down.
It's slowing down.
It's just kind of more in details of some of the same things, like cast and acting and things like that.
Okay.
But
That sounds like a good place to wrap it up then.
Cool.
Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate you very, very much. I'm not going to get too mushy on you here. I'll start crying. None of that. But we are very grateful for you. Thank you for sticking with us. Reservations are now open for a potential third round of crowdfunding. If you haven't already, please go to angel.com/theshift. We've spruced up our website a bit. You can see what's going on there. You can tell us what you're interested in doing. And please share this live stream. Share the link with people. Let people know. Those friends of yours that, maybe later on they were like, man, I wish I had gotten in. Tell them that they need to tell us now. Tell us that they want in, so that we know and we can make our decision as to whether or not we go a third time. Orlando, anything else you want to say? Parting words?
No, it's just fun to be back and sharing. Finally, getting some. Quite a bit of time has gone by and a lot has happened since the last time, and so it's just good to finally bring everybody up to speed and just get to share and keep this ball rolling.
Yep. Thank you, everyone, and hopefully we'll see you again real soon.
See y'all.